Hi guys, and welcome back to Auto Social UK. If you're into your pickup trucks, then it doesn't get much better than this. This is the Ford Ranger Raptor, their latest generation. And the Ranger Raptor has always been a very capable vehicle, something which, yes, is used as a bit of a glorified SUV, but also, if you want to go rock crawling in it, if you want to take it across all terrains, then this thing is going to be able to do it. But it just got better than ever. For 2023, this thing has had some serious improvements. Plus, it's got something very special under the bonnet. And I think I need to clear something up by my TikTok comments, because there seems to be a bit of confusion as to where that engine has come from. So if you want to see me put the Ranger Raptor through its paces,
You're not doing donuts.
then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and new car content, then this is the place to be. Hit the subscribe button. So those of you who follow me on Instagram may have realised that I've already driven the Ranger Raptor. I was really lucky that Ford in Dunton let me loose in their first ever model. And if you haven't seen that video, then you can click the link down below in the description box and you can watch that video, because it's a lot more factual. It's kind of all of the main key things that you need to know about the Ranger. But something I wasn't able to do is get it really muddy and take it off-road. So that's what we're going to go and do today. But before we do go and get it muddy, let me take it out on the usual roads and I'll find out how it copes day to day. I guess if you are going to use it as a glorified SUV. But before I do any driving, let's talk about that engine.
The first European Raptor model was launched by Ford in 2019, and although the first generation Raptor had more aggressive looks than the standard model, those across the pond sniggered at the fact that it could never be a true Raptor model, due to it being powered by a 2-litre EcoBoost diesel engine. And whilst the existing diesel engine remains, Ford have added a second engine to stop the European market from being sniggered at.
Now, under this bonnet is a 3-litre V6 petrol. This produces 288 brake horsepower and 419 pound-feet of torque. This thing now sprints from 0 to 62 in 7.7 seconds, compared to the 10 seconds that the previous diesel unit used to be able to achieve. And you also may be wondering, that doesn't sound quite as powerful as I would have expected. And that's because we're in the UK. We never get the best engines. America and Australia have a more powerful output from their unit.
Power stands at 392 brake horsepower, 104 more than the one that I'm driving today, and we can thank our stricter rules surrounding emissions for that. The engine is also housed in an even bigger F-150, which we will not be getting. But let's face it, when it comes to vehicles of that size, it really isn't necessary in the UK. But despite the detune, let's not focus on what we don't get and focus on what we do.
It's a vast improvement from the outgoing model. And remember that controversy that I spoke about? So, where does this V6 actually come from? Is it a Ford engine? Is it a Volkswagen engine? Well, I can confirm that this is a Ford engine through and through. It will be used in the new Volkswagen Amarok, but it is completely Ford. And now we've cleared that up, let's get it on the road. So there's actually 7 different drive modes that you can choose from in the Raptor, and you've also got an R mode as well, which is a completely customizable setup. So if we quickly scroll through the drive modes, a lot of them are off-roading, but on road we have got normal mode, we've got a sport mode, a slippery mode, and then you go to your off-road. So you've got mud and ruts, 4-wheel drive sand, 4-wheel drive Baja. So this is what makes this car really, really special. That is your everything on attack mode for off-road. And then you've also got rock crawl as well. So many to choose from. I'm just going to take it straight back to sport. And then you can adjust different things individually. So I've got it in sport, and I'm just going to hit my chassis, and I'm going to change my chassis to normal, just because I don't want it to be too much of a rough ride. Steering, I'm going to keep my steering to sport so it's nice and tight. and also I have got the exhaust node as well. So we're going to make sure that exhaust is on sport. Now there is a Baja exhaust note, which actually means that it will turn it pretty much into a straight through. Baja exhaust is actually illegal on the regular roads, so we won't be doing that, but we'll have it in sport so we can have a little bit of the noise come through. And at the moment I'm on a bit of a residential road, so we're not gonna take it too far on this road, but I will wait until I get it onto a national speed limit so that I can actually put my foot down. So as I mentioned, this vehicle does have 288 brake horsepower. Now, 288 brake horsepower in a vehicle of this size doesn't sound that much. And I would argue that I'm not sure whether that figure is correct, because this vehicle does feel a lot more punchy than 288 brake. It's got a lot about it. I mean, you can hear it then. It's got a lot of power behind it. Lots of people have already asked me the question, is this really a vehicle which is suited for UK roads? And I don't really, oh what beautiful bit of road. I don't really have that much trouble with this. I've kind of not found it to be too big. You can really hear the difference in that exhaust note, can't you? It's quite loud actually. Here you go. Here's a national speed limit. Going up a bit of a hill as well, still got loads of power. Obviously, being such a big vehicle, it doesn't have quite the preciseness of something like a performance SUV, but you really don't expect it to. We can forgive it for that. But it hasn't really lost that ability to be a truck, and that's the nice thing. Like, there's no kidding yourself as to what you're actually driving.
The exhaust sounds great from the interior, but what about the outside? The Ford Ranger Raptor has an adaptive exhaust note system called active exhaust valve. That means that it sounds outrageous, especially in sport or Baja mode. But when you really don't fancy being the talk of the neighbourhood, there is a quiet setting.
In terms of fuel economy, yeah, she is a thirsty girl. That 3 litre V6 petrol, especially when using sport mode, it was never going to be the most economical, but I'm seeing around 15 miles per gallon, and that's whilst I've been kind of giving it some real beans. I reckon if you was to drive it gently in normal mode and you wasn't always constantly on that throttle, I think you could get that up to around the 25-30 miles per gallon mark. But if you want to be enjoying this truck, then you can expect to go through a lot of fuel.
So let's get on to the good stuff, off-road, because that's really where the Raptor has to be seen to be believed. There are buttons in the middle of the rotary switch to go from permanent 2 or 4-wheel drive to 4-wheel drive automatic, which does what's required in shifting torque forwards. There's also a button to swap the transfer box from low to high ratio. You operate the diff locks from the infotainment screen, which at the same time produces a forward view camera image, so you can see what's coming up, and there's a live telemetry for steering, pitch and roll angles. For added robustness when off-roading, the Raptor has a 2.3mm high-strength steel bash plate fitted as standard. This is almost double the fitness fitted to the previous model, and the latest Ford Ranger, which has a 1.4mm plate. That means, as well as tackling those rocks, it can also withstand some impressive jumps. The Ranger Raptor has even got an 850mm wading depth. That's 150mm more than the Hilux is capable of. Although, don't expect any fancy wade depth sensors like you get in the Defender. You are looking at the biggest rally car you've ever seen. Yep, you heard that right. Under the body of the V6 model lies 2.5-inch Fox live valve dampers, suspension that makes the Raptor capable of tackling off-road terrain at speeds of over 50 miles per hour. On a dedicated off-road track and in its most leery Baja mode, the Raptor could take on pretty much anything we threw at it and at any speed. I definitely didn't get up to quite 50 miles per hour. I lost my cool around 35.
You wouldn't do this in your everyday car, would you? No. If you had one of these, you could. Slow down a little bit down to the corner. You don't end up facing the other way.
No.
It's easy to oversteer it. Okay, a little bit of power on there. A little bit slower through this bit, isn't it? Tricky through some holes in it now. Okay, line it up and then give it some now. Back off a little bit now.
If you did want to see in a little bit more detail what has changed with the Raptor, then please go ahead and watch my video with Ford Dunton. But I'm just going to go over a few things in the cabin which I really like. For one, these seats are incredible. They're really soft leather, but they're also really well bolstered as well. As you can see, we did some pretty intense off-roading and they held us in at all times. They're also electrically adjusted as well, heated. You've got a heated steering wheel too. You've now got the larger portrait screen in this vehicle. We've got wireless charging underneath. You've got 2 cup holders in the centre console, but you've also got pop-out cup holders as well, so it's really useful. And talking about useful, we've actually got some aux connectors up here. So basically, I've been chatting to the guys at Ford and they were saying that this is pretty unique to the Raptor, and this isn't something which is going to be had in the Volkswagen version, the Amarok, and it's also something that you have to pay more for if you have it in a wild track. But these aux cables are already set up, so if you wanted to have big lamps for going lamping, that's all pre-wired in, so no messing with the wiring. You can plug it straight in and then you can control it using the aux leads up here. What else? I mean, it's just really good quality. Everything feels really high quality. It's got a nice bit of suede on the dashboard mixed together with this honeycomb kind of detailing. It's all just really well finished. You can tell that they've just elevated this vehicle in every way from the previous generation. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I don't like. I mean, personally, I don't like having the heating controls on the screen. You can control them a little bit by the dials underneath, but mostly it is all controlled in the screen. But pretty much, like, I'm pressed to find things that I don't like. And you know, I really love this as well. So this is something very small. So if I turn it on and I put it into drive, right, put the gear lever into drive, and if I turn the vehicle off, I mean, I know it's really small, it's really novelty, but I think that's such a nice little finishing touch. Well, that was a bit more like it, wasn't it? Actually seeing what the Raptor can do. And when it comes to what it can do, well, that's pretty much everything. Donuts, off-road, driving fast, jumps. This thing is the most capable pickup that pretty much anybody has created for a long time. And a lot of that has to do with those shocks that they're putting on the suspension, which is very different to anything else out there and really high tech. I mean, this is technology that we're not even getting on road cars, let alone pickup trucks. And it's made this breathtakingly good at off-road, and it's pretty good on-road as well. It's just now better than ever. And I really think from the warm attempt of the previous Raptor, Ford have really made it up to everybody with this version. And let's face it, vehicles like this are going to be disappearing, so we need to embrace them whilst we can. I've had such a brilliant day. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video as well. If you have, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. An extra thumbs up for the donuts because I'm very proud of myself. And if you want to see more content like this, then please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, guys, see you later.